The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Realizing the truth of this statement, I, Dr. Sumita Dasmana, welcome you all to the very first course valediction function of Masters in Mass Communication, batch 2022 to 2024. MA Mass Communication was started in 2022 at Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies with the goal of making industry ready media professionals. The course has already garnered immense popularity among students and has also started to prove its presence in the market. The teaching pedagogy being adopted at MAMC is a unique combination of industry mentors and highly skilled and proficient permanent faculty members. All this has been made possible under the able leadership of our chairman, Dr. S.C. Vats, who is a visionary, educationist, philanthropist, and head of Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, Technical Campus. Our vice chairman and co-founder, Mr. Suneet Vats, our chairperson, Professor Siddharth Mishra, who heads the Vivekananda School of Journalism and Mass Communication, and the dean, Dr. Charulata Singh, who unfortunately is away to attend the last rites of her dear mother, who recently passed away. As I had mentioned earlier, this course has had the unique opportunity for being mentored by a large number of industry professionals who are here today to bless their pupils and see them blossom in the arena of mass communication. Without much ado, we would set the program rolling by requesting our Vice Chairman, Mr. Suneet Vats, to formally welcome our Speaker of the Day, Mr. Ashok K. Bhattacharya, Editorial Director, Business Standard. Thank you so much, sir. I also take this opportunity to welcome and thank some of our well-wishers from the industry. Mr. Amit Goel, Director, The Pioneer, Ms. Shobhri Ganguly, Editor-in-Chief, The Pioneer, Dr. Sarvesh K. Tiwari, Founder, PR Professionals, Dr. Navneet Anand, Founder, Grey Matters PR, Mr. Bhaskar Jha, Founder, Petri Dish Media, and Mr. Abhishek Anand, Founder, Slow PR. It is appropriate that the vision of the Institute and mission of its founders to be heard from them itself. I would request the Vice Chairman, Mr. Suneet Vats, to deliver the welcome address. Mr. Vats holds an Executive Master's degree from the prestigious Ivy League University, Columbia Business School, as well as Master's degree from Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies in Mumbai. All right, sir, I request you to kindly take the photo. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to first of all thank our distinguished guest present here. Though when I met him, I complimented him that we have seen him on television, delivering budget, his expert opinion on the budgets. And he's a veteran in our industry. And the kind of insights that he brings in is something which is, unmatched. And that's where, we thought of, and I think Siddharth sir should be complimented for this, for bringing such an eminent guest here. And we owe our gratitude to you, sir, for sparing your time. Thank you so much. I can see a lot of, these brimming faces today that pass out. And, with great hopes, I wish Chairman sir was here to, give his blessings. His dream getting realized, in terms of whatever programs that we started in Vivekananda Institute, has come to its logical conclusion. And when we see, the brightest of bright sitting here, it gives you a different kind of, satisfaction in life. And that's what I think each institution and Vivekananda, possibly, the Institute of Professional Studies, is really proud of that we could, get masters. We were wanting to get more seats, but then we focused on lesser number, wanting to, qualitatively focus on what we create as individuals, fine, and as professionals also. And it's not an easy task. Our motto, when Chairman Sir laid out the motto of, man making, character building, nation building as an agenda for the institution, he didn't merely, meant it to be put on as a poster, somewhere on the wall. It was to be imbibed as a way of life. And thankfully so, with a good team of, professors and everybody present here, practitioners, in fact, who have contributed a lot. There was a lot of dilemma, when we started off with the program. Do we do it more theoretically? Do we do it with, faculty being brought in from industry so that our students don't kind of, just be caught in the theological, mash of things. But I think with a right combination of the two, I think our students would be capable to take on the industry. The topic of the today, I'll dwell a little because a lot is happening on the landscape of not just about, when we talk about, I think Sir would be dwelling it much more at length. But then, to understand, we all understand what AI is doing to different industries. People are talking about, industry 4.0, but little is talked about, what is happening in media and how AI would be influencing media for that matter. So from, recommendation models, how can it be, possibly creating an echo chamber to, filtration bubble as they call it, because anything that is being recommended to you is polarizing your views and is recommending you only a particular set of, things that you can see. So how do we change? How do we bring about those diversity of views when we talk about AI? So there's a lot of responsibility. Fine, content being done automatically, articles being written automatically, websites being scraped through, using algorithms. How is it going to change the entire landscape of what media, would be in times to come? And some of you, I'm told, have joined, advertising and corporate communication, which is equally important in field to understand. With everything, right from consumer behavior changing to from the way we do our, online portals have come in. You look at Alibaba to Amazon, the behemoths that we have created is something that we need to understand as individuals, as professionals, as to what is the consumer behavior model and how it is applied nowadays. We need to understand, the different needs, when it originates. How do we kind of, do that target marketing when it comes to, penetration, when it comes to, beating out that exact, audience. So those are issues that, as professionals, and I normally believe that we should be a lifelong learner. Learning doesn't stop anywhere. It should continue till the time you are in a particular field. You should know everything about that particular field. So learning has no end. Don't think that you've graduated and taken your masters from here. Doesn't mean that your learning should stop. Your learning actually begins from the day you enter the industry. You start to work with people. So you'll be tested on your team skills. You'll be tested on your, emotional quotient, as they say, EQ, and probably now spiritual quotient also being put into place. So we need to understand that as individuals, as human beings, we are not just, about, a particular task or a job profile. We have bigger role in a society to play. And how do we play that is something that possibly, I don't know whether how many of you have gone to inner space, experienced, the kind of vibrations that it has there. So some of you, if you have gone there, I think it has a more spiritual orientation in terms of what can be achieved. I'm not talking about being religious or being ritualistic about, doing certain things. It's about connecting with your own self, with your true values. So if you do not do a SWOT analysis of your own self and where you stand today, I think somewhere you are missing out. You may learn any definition. There will be a lot of, communication theories being taught to you. Everything would have been taught to you. Consumer behavior theories would have been taught to you. Different ways, tools must have been taught to you. But then ultimately it boils down to who you are as an individual and what you are wanting to deliver. So to be relevant in that value chain, you need to be a holistic individual. And you can only contribute positively and fulfill Swamiji's dream and that of our chairman when you prove yourself, and one day we'll be proud of you seeing your accolades coming. Every day Siddharth sir, would post out lot many of those achievements on his social media handle, because we are proud, we take pride in what you do and what you deliver in the industry. And same is the sentiment that gets echoed back from the industry itself. So I wish you all the very best, not taking too much of your time. Thank you, Siddharth sir. It was a pleasure, and the right choices that you made in making this program successful. Charu ma'am is not here in her absentia. She has been also contributing a lot. All faculty members present here. It's your contribution as an institution, and I think whatever you have given to them, you will see them shine one day, and they'll make you all proud. Thank you so much.
Industry is the editorial director, Business Standard. Mr. Bhattacharya, an experienced economic journalist with knowledge of working in the newspapers industry for more than 4 decades. He set the bar for business reporting as the chief of bureau at the Economic Times in the early 1990s when economic reforms raged. Mr. Bhattacharya had a ringside view to many other disruptions, creative and others, during his 4 decades in journalism. He has also been the editor of the Pioneer newspaper before moving to Business Standard. He writes a very popular news column, Raisina Hill. A newsperson to the core, he wrote a book on India's disruption published by Penguin in July 2019, The Rise of Goliaths 12 Disruptions That Changed India. His second book, India's Finance Ministers from Independence to Emergency 1947 to 1977, was published by Penguin in May 2023, which captured the story of Union finance ministers in the first 30 years after independence. The second volume in the series, India's Finance Ministers Stumbling into Reforms 1977 to 1998, covering the period of 21 years, was published by Penguin in January 2024. The third and final volume in the series was released a few days back at India International Center. I now request Ashok sir to kindly come over and take it forward from here.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Mr. Vats, for inviting me to this ceremony that all of you, I'm sure, will remember, because you are passing out, you are getting into a new stage of your life. I was just thinking about it, going back in time, that when we graduated, such practices were not in vogue except in very, very some prestigious institution. But the day of your passing out has always been a day that you will always remember what you did, what thoughts came across you. So it's a very solemn occasion. It's an occasion which needs to be celebrated, needs to be commemorated, and the oath that you take about what you do in life to redeem your own promise is something that you should never lose sight of. Um, when Siddharth, who's a very dear friend, asked me that this is something like this is happening, and he said, what you would like to speak on. So actually, in journalism, counter question is always a way out, and also reveals and elicits more information. So I told him that, what do you think I should speak on? And lo and behold, he came up with a subject which is so dear to me. It's something that, I tweaked a little bit, but not at all in substance. And that's the subject that I would like to speak on. But before I do that, I must congratulate all of you. My best wishes to all of you who are graduating, and I'm sure you will be in the right path and the right vocation. And those of you, Mr. Watts talked about, have joined um, the communication sector, the public relations. Um, uh, Remember that whether you are a journalist or whether you are in the media, your basic goals and the basic functions are primarily the same, which is communication and how effectively you communicate, how well you communicate, on whose behalf do you communicate, and how well you can achieve those results. So therefore, wherever you are, what you will learn, the skills that you acquired during your 2-year course will stand you in good stead, and I wish you all the best. Uh, what I will do in the next 20 odd minutes is try to explain to you how technology is, let me say, whether it is playing havoc or it is actually becoming a bigger tool. Uh, Technology is something that people of my generation, and I've already been dubbed an old man, a veteran means an old man, and he should retire. So, when I joined this profession, I used to uh, write my stories on a typewriter with two carbon papers because you had to file your copy and three copies. So my first job would be to roll that three pieces of paper interspersed with carbon copies, so that I roll it into it and then write it. And write it not in the way we write today, I write today. Write it, you were thinking about it, what should be my first sentence? Think 10 times before you do that. So your mental discipline is of a different order because there was no technology to change my intro time and again, 100 times, because I have to get it right instead of. So there is very limited scope. Now, how many pages will it destroy? So there was this technology did not allow me to experiment with intros, experiment with my first sentence, with the second sentence, the third sentence. I don't know how many of you have done literature. Uh, Ernest Hemingway wrote a famous novel, A Farewell to Arms. Um, how many of you know of this? Farewell to Arms? Okay. Now, that novel had one of the best chapters, 35th chapter, wherein he says goodbye to his wife Catherine, who is dying, and he's an army guy. Now, Ernest Hemingway, a journalist to the core, is supposed to have rewritten that last chapter 40 times. Now, those were the days when there was no computer. So today, if Ernest Hemingway had to born again and write it, I'm sure he would not have written it 34 times. He would have revised it, and written it in a way he wouldn't even know. There will be no record of that, even the 35 revisions. So therefore, what I'm saying is that technology is a big tool, but it is also can be a problem, which I'll come to later. So there is no doubt that our profession, the media profession, and when I say media, I include both sides of the profession, not narrowly segmented into only those who are working for newspapers, but also those who are working in the world of communication. Now that has seen tectonic changes. I mean, there are major changes, and that has happened in the last few years. And I would like to classify them under four broad categories. Um, First, I would say structural change. And the structural change is a little bit about the ownership, in the sense that there was a time till 1990s or even early 2000 that newspapers and the media was owned by large industry, big industry, or trusts or societies. But today, the ownership of media is diffused, disparate. Anybody can set up a media outfit and can be called a media company. So there is more competition, there is more opportunities. Media scene, as in that sense, has become more contestable. It was not a contestable sector 5 years ago, 15 years or 20 years ago. It's become very, very contestable. That's number one, on the structural side. The second change that has happened is with regard to the business model of the media itself. Now, there was a time when newspapers would be run on the basis of what your subscription base is, what your revenue that is coming from the readers. In a sense that if you are producing a newspaper or a magazine at a cost of, let us say, 5 rupees, you would like to recover that almost 4 rupees out of that will come from the subscription revenue. But that has changed over the last 20 years or 30, 25 years, I would say. What has happened is that there's an advertisement as a source of revenue has grown to such an extent that it has become almost 95% of your total revenue. Now that has its own implications. I'm not talking about technology here, but the entire structural pattern of the Indian media has changed dramatically. It has not changed the same way in the developed markets. Even now, the Financial Times, the price at which it is sold, it takes care of almost 75 or 80% of its total costs. Whereas in India, a paper like which I represent, Business Standard, where the advertisement revenue would almost be around 60 to 70% of its total revenue. Which means what? Which means as a media organization, you are a little more dependent on the advertisement flow. Your financial viability is critically dependent on whether your advertisement base is good. And if that advertisement base happens to be the government, your subservience to the government also becomes a little more pronounced. So therefore, the structure of the media has undergone a very significant change in the last couple of few decades. That's my first change, tectonic change that has happened. The second tectonic change is the behavioral change, and that is happening with the readers. The reading habits has undergone a dramatic change. People no longer read newspapers the way they used to. As a matter of fact, even the habit of getting a newspaper at home is becoming like what has already happened in the West at least 10, 15 years ago. Today, there are many homes I know which do not subscribe to a newspaper being dropped by the hawker at their residence. And it is coming from my own, what should I say, talking to people, even in a newspaper organization, when I talk to young reporters, young writers, journalists, they themselves don't get newspapers at home. And why? Because they think it is not worth it. They can access the same newspaper electronically. So you don't read newspapers the way the previous generation, my generation, or Siddharth's generation would have read. Now, what is the big difference in that, and why do I call it a tectonic change? Because the news as you read in a newspaper, the news that you read on a digital platform or on an electronic platform like television are completely different experiences. Now, it has got its own consequences. I'm not going into it, but the fact is that the reading habits have gone a major change. The content consumption pattern has changed. People are not interested in writing. Most people are not interested in reading long form. They are rather interested in shorter this thing. 90% of readers, this is a survey, 90% of the readers dropped the story after reading the headline. So you are trying to capture them through the headline, and then the remaining 10%, maybe 5% stay on in the first para, and the last unfortunate 5% stay on to the same story. Now, this is the nature of the media, the behavioral change. And the post-COVID syndrome is even more pronounced. What has happened in the post-COVID world is there is a clear dilution in the sorry there is a clear dilution in the level of the intellectual osmosis that takes place in readers as well as in newspapers. Now, what is an osmosis? You know that there is something called reverse osmosis to distill your water, and this osmosis I'm talking about is of intellectual osmosis, wherein I am talking to you, you are listening to me, and then when you get an opportunity to ask me questions, there are things that are happening between you and me. And that gives me greater understanding, realization, takeaways for me. Now, in a post COVID world, the scope for that intellectual osmosis has come down drastically because these days you are doing more interaction, even now in the post COVID situation, even now in my own office, most of our meetings are happening online. What happens in online? There is no osmosis. Why? Because at least 80 to 90% of people switch off their cameras. They don't even look into the camera. You're only listening, you may be doing something else. You may be doing something else. And you switch on and listen to it. Whenever you want to butt in, you can butt in and step in or whatever. Now, but in a physical environment, like I am here, you are forced to look at me. You are forced to listen to me whether you like me or not. And that osmosis takes place. So there is a greater quality of understanding and quality of internalization of thoughts and ideas that take place through that osmosis process, which have gone away. Um, it's become rather one way instead of being a two-way process. So when I go to the newspaper offices or my own office, I constantly regret the fact that we have stopped having physical meetings wherein I could say something and hear something back for what I say. In an online situation, it does not happen that regularly. So that is the other form of change that has happened, which is behavioral. The third is technical, technological change, which is uh, the rise of technology. You're doing everything, whether it is a question of writing a copy, whether you are even using the chat GPT for getting a better headline, everything, or even getting information material to write your paper for the final examination or you see. What you are doing is this, that you are not trying to own what you know, but you are always trying to access something that you need to know. So this new world has created a sharp distinction between access and ownership. Today's younger generation are actually very good at accessing information, something that my generation did not have. If I wanted to know that what was the budget deficit number of 1966 or 1976, good old days, I had to go out and go to a library and get that old budget document out, nothing else. If I wanted to know that what kind of a company is Hindalco, I had to go and get that annual report out, physical report. There was no other way I could have known that what is Hindalco after all. If I wanted to know the GDP number of India in 1977 or 1990, I could not have gone, I had to go and fish that National Statistical Office book, annual book. Today, what has happened is that I am absolutely cool about it. I don't worry about keeping these records because I know that the click of a button on my computer, I can see the data, what I want. I can know anything on my mobile phone today. Now, this is called access. But access does not necessarily lead to ownership. Therefore, understanding interpretation, and thought processing. Access makes you also, in my view, little intellectually lazy. So that's a big change that has happened, and through technology. Now, the second thing that has happened on technological change is the disintermediation of what I call the media. The media was itself intermediated, but today technology has made media itself disintermediated. In a sense that what you see is that you don't need the media, all you need is the technology, the platform by which you can reach out to people. Doesn't really matter whether you are interacting with that person or that platform or not. It's a one-way communication right through. So and the media which was supposed to encourage the two-way communication. I mean, as a matter of fact, even the print has imbibed the spirit of the disintermediation of media. There was a time I started my journalism when I was in college by writing letters to the editor. The number of letters to the editor that I would write would actually allow me to engage with the newspaper. There used to be a full-time job in newspapers till recently, which would actually look at letters that would come from the readers and publish some of the best ones. Now, what was that? That was a two-way communication. Now, today, there's nothing of that sort is happening. It is thanks largely to technology. Now, so therefore, the disintermediation of media is also another tectonic change that has taken place. And the fourth change is not the fourth, the technological change has also redefined the role and functions of media practitioners themselves. So because whatever it is, after all, and whatever you are, because of technology, your role and functions have undergone a change. And the final change that I see, the tectonic change that has happened in the last few years, is socio-political. So I have covered the structural change, I have covered the behavioral change, I have covered the technological change, and the final change that I am talking about is the socio-political change. And that socio-political change is twofold. At one level, society's trust in media has declined significantly. I'm not going into the reasons, but the fact of the matter is the society's trust in media has fallen. Also because society has more choices for information, more platforms are there. Now, and the second level is that governments are tightening their hold on media. And it is not just talking about today's government, even yesterday's government was doing the same, but today it has got stronger. So the government hold of the media, as well as the society's trust in media, one has declined, the other has risen. Now, these are the four broad areas where changes have happened. And in all these areas, and since I have already crossed my time, yeah, yeah. Don't allow me to inflict myself on them for so long. Now, what has happened is in all these areas, you are seeing the role of technology in far too many ways. I mean, imagine how the business model that I talked about in my first preliminary point, as how that business model has got completely vitiated by the rise of technology. There is something called FANG. FANG is the short form of four major companies: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Now, since everybody is into digital media, the entire revenue is mopped up by the FANG companies, leaving very little, almost at the mercy of these FANG companies, the traditional media houses, not just in India, globally. There are some movements against that FANG, which is happening in Australia, New Zealand, Europe a little bit, not so much in India so far. Now, till that happens, I would say the stranglehold of the technology giants on the media's revenue source will further squeeze and vitiate the business model that has been nurtured over the years. That's number one. Number two is that the uh, technology has further accentuated this behavioral change in ways that we consume media. So what is happening is that we are becoming actually, in many ways, servants of technology, even in the practitioner of media, servants of technology instead of its masters. There was an old saying that I used to hear from my parents is that, habit is a very good servant, but a very bad master. And I would like to say technology is a very good servant, but a very bad master. Now, I think what has happened in the case of media, at least, that technology today drives your core goals. Today, people in journalism judge their readership, viewership, how good they are by traffic. And how is traffic calculated is once again driven by the way technology is used. There's something called a search engine optimization. If you know how to change a headline in a certain way, if you know that one of these fans will tell you that this is the way you can change the headline or change the right keyword. If you can bring somehow, doesn't really matter. If you can bring Mr. Narendra Modi's name in the first sentence of your story, it will be read because Mr. Modi is viral. Now, I'm giving a very odd example from this thing, but the fact of the matter is that every journalist today is now driven by this technology to not write good content that he thinks his readers will benefit from, but writing content in a way and is driven by technology once again so that it gets his traffic, which is regulated by technology. So, therefore, in a sense, technology has become your master and your content is so. Therefore, what you will do is this: even if you want to write about such a lovely lecture that I am delivering, you will not be allowed to write because technology will tell you that A.K. Bhattacharya is passé. Don't listen to him. So no, I'm just giving a offhand example, but this don't take it for real. But exactly what I have seen in newsrooms these days. In newsrooms, there are now television screens that capture that which subject is trending and why. So the people who are writing stories are actually looking at that screen and guided by that. Now, the question that I would like to raise before you is that, of course, technology is important. You must use technology, but is it possible to use technology more as a tool for enhancing content rather than letting technology decide how to enhance your content? So I said it very easily, but it cannot be done easily. I can tell you this much. We are struggling. Everybody is struggling. So therefore, I would say that it's the same reason the media's independence and the society's trust in media today is actually undermined because of this over dependence on technology. In a sense, we have to strike a balance. We cannot ignore technology. I am not a Luddite. I am not saying that you should forget about what is search engine optimization, but it is important to use technology. You cannot ignore technology, but if it is better used as a tool for your benefit and not be a servant, I think it will be better. What I can assure you, from my own experience is that you are getting into a profession that whatever be the technology or whatever be the rise of technology, the relevance of media professionals, those who are in the business of communication, can never go away. I mean, this is a job, this is a profession whose role can never be diluted, undermined, whatever be the technology. It's a bit like the software professionals who are not worried about AI or Gen AI. They're saying that, okay, AI will come, Gen AI will come, but they will need different kind of techies, the different kind of technology guys who can use and make the Gen AI better. So similarly, I would say that there will be change, technologies all over us, but do not be afraid of technology. Take on that technology and be better with your own skills so that you can continue to remain as relevant as you were earlier. There is this example that I keep giving, and I hope I'm not repeating myself, is that one of the earliest onslaught of technology was the carbon paper. And this is a true story. In Reserve Bank of India, Calcutta office, it was the headquarters then, not Bombay before that. Now, there was a strike in the Reserve Bank of India Calcutta office because Reserve Bank of India decided that their typists would start using carbon paper. So the manager, was extremely distraught. What to do? Now these guys are struck work. What can? So, and finally he managed to convince them, use everything. But the lesson from that is, one of the arguments that this person gave to those clerks was that, listen, do not focus on the quantity of work that you are doing, focus on the quality of work that you will be doing. So, my argument on technology is, if you use technology to your own benefit, focus on yourself, how you can equip yourself better to use the technology that you have for being even a better journalist, being a better communication professional. So that is going to be the rule of technology, the role of technology. It is not that technology will come and wipe us out, but we need to embrace technology, but don't give up your own job. I keep saying that, will the sub-editor go away? I have seen myself 3 professions just go away. But my sense is, no, the profession of sub-editor or editor will not go away. Their nature, the quality of work they do will go away. Reporters will not go away, but the kind of work they do will change with technology. It is futile to resist technology. It is important to embrace technology after ensuring regulation and monitoring and supervision at all levels, at the government level, at the industry level, at the organization level, at an individual level. But don't shun technology, but don't be guided by it. Use it to your own benefit. And as a media professional, since you are just going to enter this profession, I would say that this is one profession where, come what may, technology or no technology, this is one profession where you get paid, for learning new things every day. I don't know how many professions are there where somebody will pay you for you so that you know new things every day. Every day of your life will be learning a new thing, and don't move away from that basic goal of learning new things with technology or without technology. At the end, what I would say is this: yes, I agree with what Siddharth said, that technology should be used to empower you, not to overpower you. Thank you very much. And once again, my best wishes to everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to point out there is one more profession, the profession that we are engaged into. Thank you, sir, for your insights. And now the floor is open for question answers. So, if you have any questions, you may please ask.
The questions can be asked by the faculty here, it can be asked by the guests who are here, by senior media persons who are here. So anybody could put up a question on this, because this is an issue which is, bothering all of us, concerns all of us. Yes, yes, Ali. Ali, you know, has been in the editorial positions of the TV channel.
I have been editor of all major news channels in India. Currently, I am associated with some international media company. Who controls, I shall lecture, technology and content? In this scenario, how can you expect that any journalist should write any column, any write-down? As of now, I do not have much knowledge about you, whether you are today in newsroom or not. You are in some newsroom?
No, I'm not in the operation.
Okay. The entire scenario of newsroom has been changed in this decade. Every morning, editor used to receive one SMS, 5 point. You have to cover all 5 points, whether it is you are a newspaper or intelligent business. You cannot beyond go apart from the instruction which PMO is directing.
I think he has commented on that, but I want to
Commented on that.
Yeah.
I talked about that. Maybe you had come late, so I talked about how.
There's a button on the top. ऊपर है सर.
I commented on that. I think what has happened is that the government control over the media has certainly gone up, has become very restrictive, and society's trust has also declined correspondingly. So it's something that I've touched upon, and it's whether technology or not, it is a trend, one of the tectonic changes that I talked about. But let me also say that this is not happened in 10 years. Let me say that this was a process that was in the making. It has got expedited, and I can tell you, whichever regime comes, whatever happens, this is something that is not going to leave us, and which is why this cause for concern.
Thank you. Can we have the next question? Yes, please.
Sir, I wanted to ask that do you think in terms of information consumption is technology empowering us with a personalized content, or it is actually trapping us in echo channels?
It's doing both actually. It is creating echo chambers, but then the fault lies with those who are consuming it. Yes, the fault lies with those who are consuming it. It's true, technology has created echo chambers and made it very easy. But it is also a fact that it has allowed dissemination of information far more easily. So I hope I answered your question.
You can have 2 more questions. Yes? Yeah, Paula.
Good evening, sir. My name is Palatandra. So my question is, what are the misconceptions that people have related to artificial intelligence?
Sorry, what are the?
Misconceptions that people have related to AI.
Well, you know, it's a developing area, and I don't claim any special knowledge about artificial intelligence. Now, the thing is that as far as the media is concerned, as of now, it is giving us a lot of opportunities to do the you know the ordinary work to artificial intelligence, in a sense, and that's what I was hinting at, in a sense that if you all want to get a copy clean, as we used to say in good old days, who will dot the I and cut the T? The basic level of cleaning up copy, I think AI tools can do that very well. So it's a tool for me. So therefore, my journalist can actually focus more on improving the copy instead of wasting his valuable time to just cut the T and dot the I. So AI is useful. Similarly, if I want to give a nice, snappy headline, I can use the AI tool and put the story and say, give me 5 snappy headlines of this story. So I can get five examples, and then I use my own intelligence and wit and use the best and maybe modify that a little bit to what I think is correct and better and use that. So if I want to write a copy, I can use Chat GPT and get a copy written. But then I have to use my own intelligence and understanding and reporting skills to make sure that it is faultless. I think disclosure is necessary in this world. There are newspapers I know who use Chat GPT, but I also know many of the newspapers don't even make any disclosure of that. So I think disclosure is necessary. It's a new technology. AI for the media, I think, can bring in a lot of refinements in the way we function. And that is why I was saying that tomorrow's journalists, people like you, would have to train yourself, keeping in mind that technology will change and how you well and effectively can you use technology for better communication or better content creation.
Yes, Anup, you are.
Sir, I think I am speaking on behalf of some of the students with your permission. So, I was fortunate enough with Stars Tool to be engaging with them as a faculty, but we have been interacting. You have seen me in a different avatar as the PR. The question here is, sir, from a perspective that half of them are actually going to be joining the other side of communication, which is advertising and PR, and the other side, the journalism. Now, with the blurring lines, I mean, you mentioned very nice with the AI thing. The problem is, I mean, first I said the problem, then whether it's a problem or not, that's a you decide. Problem is that today we have become lazy, like with courtesy with AI, but we have also become like in the stuff of snackable. We want like the 10 headlines, which is there. So the key question is there, where I used to have a problem with them when I used to bring some ads which I wanted them to register. Forget the headlines, sir. Half of them they could not. It was not their fault because things are changing so fast. There is so much of option access that there. So the key question, sir, from my side, again, like on behalf of that, is in this age of technology, are we moving towards more of eyeball retention in form of giving a snackable content, or are we losing out the real meaning of the news or the content? So is it snackable content just to feed the hunger versus a long form or a deep content? That's the question. The second one, so slightly related, which you can, is the question typically we all have been debating, which you also tell the truth, trust and transparency. How can we marry these two? Sir?
Okay, the first question, thanks for asking this, raising this very valid and very good questions. We can discuss this for the next 1 hour or so and not still find a solution. I think what is happening is that content has become snackable is undeniable, and technology has played a role, and even human beings, the behavioral pattern change has also been the contributory factor. I mean, let us say that the reading habit having deteriorated so fast is a question of technology as well as societal change also. In a sense, then I was of the opinion that probably COVID will bring us back to reading. But as I see that COVID has gone away, but it has not brought us back to reading. And that is because technology has given us so much opportunity to content that are snackable, that can be consumed, uh, a video product is any day considered a better form of journalism than 1,000 words of a print essay. So there was a excellent debate where till recently, films were not considered a work of art because they said that imagine Jane Austen describe a scene in which a boy and a girl are meeting and the girl is trying to straighten the bed sheet and exchanging looks, and Jane Austen is describing that scene. With what precision, with what skill. Now, what does a filmmaker do? A filmmaker just gets a camera, gets an actor and the actress in, and just takes a picture and asks them to. Now, this is a different form of art. Now, but then both forms of art, in my view, are important and we must be nurtured. But clearly, today, people are consuming more of cinema. I mean, there are more people in this room would know of Mirzapur than Mirzapur when it was known for its carpet thing. Now, so unfortunately, that's what the world is. But then I don't think we should, feel bad about it. I think this is the advent of technology and we cannot resist it. Now, what we can, and this room can, in my view, these people who are in this room can, is make sure that the content that we produce, either in the form of writing or in the form of a video or a website or an audio podcast or a video podcast, can be as poignant, as telling, as conveying meaning. So that's very important. So ultimately, it is your students who will make the difference, and the students will cease to make the difference if they are not blindly accepting the march of technology. If they are discerning about the march of technology, they don't become a victim of technology. On the contrary, they are empowered and equipped to take control of technology. My sense is that we will gain on both fronts. So I hope I answered your question. Second question was truth, trust, and transparency. Uh, I think truth is subjective. So I would say that your truth for you need not necessarily be my truth. So that is where I would say trust is something is very very whatever it may be, is a quotient, is a value system that nobody can probably can do without. Transparency, once again, it's a non-negotiable term. Uh, so, truth, trust, transparency, whoever truth is, I think they have to be negotiated through trust and transparency. An unfortunate thing is that in today's world, and technology is not the sole problem here, we have lost out on both what we perceive as truth. We have lost out on what we think how we should build trust, and of course, transparency has been a major casualty. So, I mean, it's a sad point. Yeah. Thanks.
I have our dear Vice Chairman.
So can I ask
you?
you?
Sure.
In fact, I'm lucky that we have so many media people sitting here. Some of them have been at senior positions. Sir, I was reading an article where, they have said that we are datafication of life is what the statement is. And then, there are players which are coming in. There was an editorial board. Now there are non-editorial players as well, where they post in their, content without any, editorial policy around it. So whatever we see on social media and the influence that it exerts on us, there's no regulation per se. Per se. Secondly, the kind of data, organizations, data journalism organizations that are available in West, cross-check, fact check on certain things. I think we are somewhere losing the narrative on the Indian side. Because if we are not participants into an AI narrative, which tells us, what needs to be done with regard to journalistic, ethics and standards. How do you think that we will be able to lead that narrative, in the long run? So, as a senior person and as people sitting here, I would like to understand, and as obviously students would have this question: why are we losing this, narrative to AI when others can read it? If I go to, Washington Post or any other, New York Times for the matter, they have brought in technology in a huge way, fine, where they are making it more immersive by using virtual reality to augmentative reality. So it's not just about eyeballs, it's about creating content more interestingly and giving it out to audience. And at the same time, algorithmizing, they have created algorithms which will create news. So are we not losing out on that whole narrative, just being as a fence sitter, as I would say? Because Indian media organization, I don't know how many would like to respond to that question. I'm sorry if it was a lengthy one.
No, it's all right. I don't know if I understood your question correctly.
Sure.
I would say that what is happening right now is clearly lack of self-regulation in the Indian media. By and large, I would say this is true that I'm not even now not one of those who believe that it should be regulated from outside. It is better if the media itself regulates itself. Now, unfortunately, it is not happening. It is not happening also because of the various factors that I listed out, of the way the business model has got vitiated, way the technology assault has taken place. Now we need really enlightened leadership in the media industry, which can tackle the challenges of self-regulation. Not it is not impossible. It is possible. Why it happens in the West and why it does not happen here is something like why is it that people lose elections in the West on a question of pollution, and here elections are not lost. Forget about whatever may be the Delhi's pollution level. So that's because I think the core concerns, economic concerns, are different. I'm 100% sure with literacy getting better and economic issues and economic concerns undergoing a change for the better, even these issues will come, and AI use will also be little more compliant of the norms. Whether Indian companies are taking on the challenge of AI properly or not is something I think it's too early to say. But as I said, that newspapers are using AI already. There is need for greater disclosure, and there is need for greater, purposeful commitment to the idea of improving journalism in general. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have had the last question. So,
I have one
yeah.
My name is Shailesh Ranjan, and I work for Dainik Jagran. Down the line,
Long time was
yeah, I used to work for Z News and then Dainik Jagran. Down the line, after maybe 10 years, how do you see the entire ecosystem of media, including print, television, maybe social media, and other? Because last 15 years or 20 years, what you were talking about, it was major shift. How do you see the next 10 years?
Is a you always you ask the most difficult question. I can I think there would be a greater degree of polarization in the Indian media, not in the way we understand polarization, or maybe a segmentation. My sense is that increasingly readers who are supposed to be the king will assert their royalty, in a sense that if you are good content, you are unbiased content, doing proper journalism, without being influenced by those 5 directives that my friend here talked about, I have a feeling the reader will reward you at some point, but it will not happen. I don't see it happening immediately. Uh, because the sharp decline in the trust level is also a function of what he was referring to in his first question. Because people are also, there was a time when a media professional was respected like God. Today it is not so, because his value system has also got compromised as one of the participants in this overall socio-political scam. So my sense is that ultimately the good journalistic organizations with values, with purpose, with independence will stand out. So already, if you have noticed, there is some sort of segmentation that has happened between some international publication and Indian publications. And with technology making their access more easy, I don't rule out the possibility of some Indian media organizations trying to, embark on that path. So I am still hopeful. I hope I am proved right. That maybe 10 years time the segmentation will be more sharp. There will be many organizations who will try to, they will try to, बहती गंगा में हाथ धो लेंगे. But I have a feeling that there would be many others who would try to embark on a more tortuous, arduous path of staying on and remaining credible.
Thank you, sir. I think
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all queries. And now we move to farewell and award section of today's program. First, the farewell notes from our chairperson, Professor Siddharth Mishra, print journalist, TV panelist, author of several books, documentary maker, in short, a multitasking personality. He has been the mentor of this course and the best person to deliver the farewell notes. Sir, please.
thank you, sir. And before I give the farewell notes, I want to give a few AKB notes. So you talked about when you started your career using a typewriter with a carbon sheet. And when I met you first, and that was my first chance to enter into editor's room in the newspaper office, I saw you working on a computer, and that was a big inspiring point for me. That to be in a newspaper which had started using computers, and that was a time when computers had just started to come in, and Pioneer was the first newspaper to have fully computerized itself. So you have been a forebearer of technological advancement in this country, and it was not easy to convince brother journalists and sister journalists to change over from brother typewriters to to the what you call computers. You said AKB is passe. I don't agree with you. You are here today because you are not passe. Because there exist institutions like Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, which will not have a wrapper for a function like this, and they would want somebody like you to be here and engage the students, the faculty, the visitors, everybody here, the invitees, the guests, the way you did. Talking of AI and disclosures, so I have some commitments to write. I write 2 to 3 columns a week, and then I have commitments in the institute too. So the temptation is sometimes there to go to AI. And one of the recent temptations was there was so much demand on me to write something on the daily elections. I had a thought in my mind, and I framed the question and I put it on ChatGPT. what ChatGPT did was, it directed me to 10 Wikipedia pages and said that you can find your answer there. So the point I'm trying to make to you is that human mind will always remain ahead of ChatGPT. If you have understanding of the issue, if you have understanding of the thing, because ChatGPT really had no answer. And I want to supplement this by saying that you talked about headlines. A ChatGPT can never give a headline like "Nobody killed Jessica Lal," which inspired a social revolution, which inspired a media revolution, social revolution, legal revolution, tectonic changes as you have been making. So it's an unknown, anonymous sub-editor that night in Times of India gave that headline, "Nobody killed Jessica Lal," without any assistance of any AI. And thank God there was no AI. He did not have the temptation to use the AI that he could gather. But yes, AI will, it can be a good can be like a good Google map, which we use to find the destinations that, probably what I realized at the end of the thing, that I would have probably anyway gone to those pages to look for my content. But here I had added one more layer to my searches by going to AI. A question was put to me that he is AKB is an economic journalism Puritan. No, and when he talked about cinema, when he talked about film, when he talked about Ernest Hemingway, when he talked about Jane Austen, we all know that his understanding of cinema is probably better than many of the cinema critics that we get to read today, who are again very focused on what the hashtags would accrue to their writing than any content that they are able to disseminate to the people. Now, coming to the farewell notes, I want to relate to I've been a field reporter and I have covered many political rallies. It has been a favorite assignment for me. I always look forward to carrying rallies. And this was a rally in Amritsar in 2007, in the month of March. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee was probably his last public rally. He was canvassing for the NDA at that point of time, and Akali Dal was part of NDA. Prakash Singh Badal was their leader. And in his speech, in his own inimitable style, he said, "बादल गड़गड़ा रहे हैं, मौसम बदलने वाला है." He meant about Prakash Singh Badal. बादल गड़गड़ा रहे हैं, मौसम बदलने वाला है. और आज भी इस प्रोग्राम के शुरू होने के पहले बादल गड़गड़ा रहे थे. आप सभी के लिए मौसम बदलने वाला है. You are no more under the protected environment. You are going out in a very, very wicked world where will be several issues which you would have never thought about. But then, as I had said earlier, said it to you many a times in the classroom, that you will have to fight out those situations, those challenges which come your way. 2 points which I want to give it to you today is, 1, never undermine yourself, and 2, never overestimate yourself. Probably there is somebody, a third empire sitting there and realizing and who has a better understanding of what your capabilities are. And here I want to share what made me into a prolific writer was. As I said, my first job in Delhi was given by Mr. Bhattacharya, and I still recall the date, 19th November 1994, when I got a call that I have to join the office, from his office, and he said, "You come and meet me." And then, in fact, we were a group of 4 or 5 people who had joined. One of them is sitting here, Pankaj. Pankaj, I think, inadvertently went to the field where AKB was, Economic Times, for 16 years, wrote out the paper. So, in the interaction, I said that, the opening was for a job on the desk. And I said that my area of interest is in writing. So he said, "Who told you that you cannot have an opportunity to write here?" Pioneer at that point of time had several theme pages and edit pages, op-ed pages. But seeing the heavy baglines there, I never thought that I will get in space there. And there was to be a fun fair page. It was to have a long single light story kind of a thing which you could write there. And my first story was published there, and I never thought that anybody would ever read that story. I just wrote it for my satisfaction. And when I entered the newspaper office that day, the editor of the newspaper would always be on the prowl. He could be found in any nook and cranny of the paper. And I came face to face with him, and he said, "It is you who wrote that story?" I said, "Yes, I wrote that story." "You should write for other pages also." And that was the license which I got to write for other pages, much to the resentment of the reporters of the paper. And finally, I graduated to the other side of the journalism industry, that's the writing side. So the point I'm trying to make to you that somebody who is watching you, who's seeing you, probably knows better that what you will be able to write. I did not have that confidence at that point of time that I could write for the op-ed pages and the edit pages and the other theme pages. The confidence came in from the people who had observed my writing. So here when we counsel you, we have tried counseling you, when we counsel you what is the job that you should go for, I think we have seen that streak in you, we have seen that capacity in you. And some of you have actually come back to me and told me that I think you were right when you stated this. I think some of the people who came back and told me this are not here today because they're still engaged in the newspaper offices. So on these words, I must also say that you people, this first batch, where people where we actually we did a kind of an experiment, which I wish the management allowed me to go ahead with. And thankfully, by that time, this new education policy things had also come in, that professors of practice, and we could call in industry people in. And it has worked actually very well for us, even in the education market. And I can share this with you that it has left all our, if you can say, our rivals in the market pretty rattled by the way that they have gone about doing this. And in fact, one of the my time of satisfaction is when I have the externals coming in from the industry and talking to these people and saying, in one particular case, कि मेरे पास तो देने को 100 मार्क्स ही हैं और तुम इस 100 मार्क्स पे समा नहीं रहे. So that is the level of satisfaction, and I must tell you that they have risen to, it has been a very, very rigorous journey for them, and they have risen to that challenge. And they have today are very, and I must also share with me the people who have been very instrumental in bringing that change with them. Sanjay has come all the way from Bombay to be here for this course. Sanjay is with the film industry. And that time he had an assignment with us. He was in Delhi for a film shoot. And we had, in development communication, they had given several, and there was one this thing of Nukkar Natak. And we said that we would just do Nukkar Natak. And some of them said that we had never done any Nukkar Natak or any Natak of that kind. And Sanjay was able to pull them out of their shells and, and make them perform finally and convey this thing. And so there are several others here, you know many of them here who are here. And they have come, spend time from their busy schedule. KV sir has been very rigorous. We gave him that day, but while leaving, he made a very good observation about our institute, that you have a very good first aid room, because we immediately gave him a very good first aid, So many others, Bombay is city of cinema, Bombay is city of film festivals. But here in Delhi, the best film festival that we have, it is Woodpecker, something called Woodpecker Film Festival. And we managed to pull out Rao Narendra from there, and who has been And when we talked about cinema, how we could not talk about it. Cinema just cannot be about lights, camera, dialogue, action. It has to also be about film history. So we had Manoj. Manoj is a professor of film history at Jawaharlal Nehru University, and he could find out time. And also, luckily for this very batch, very lucky for this batch that we had somebody, a filmmaker based out of Estonia, who was visiting India at that point of time, and he also came a few classes during that period. So the exposure that we have tried to give to them through this film and through these media professionals has been one part of it. And I have been asked several times with my colleagues who are here today from the permanent faculty that why aren't they getting to teach the theory classes? I firmly believe that they can be better taskmasters by taking the practical classes. And they have made them all of them have made with great, the final files of their work has been all, treasure worthy. Sunil would also invite you, I would also invite you, do visit us sometime and you come to my room and you will see a new stand of the products that these people produce during this time. Now there are 2, 3 people here, and I was very particular, given the fact that I am from the media industry, from journalism background, and I should not be blamed for being, stepmotherly or stepfatherly or whatever towards the other part of the media, the communication media. So I had a very good mix of people there. Palla, who is a veteran of this thing, and then Anu asked you a very difficult question, and I'm very sure he made life very difficult for them also, And then we had somebody, who was part of what do you call it, Gen Z, whom we got as a faculty to teach the millennials. So we have her sitting in the corner. She's a faculty here. And actually, this was like to give them first-hand feel of what the industry is, and how hard pressed that she is all this while to. And of course, I can't forget my colleague of last several years. Is Naveen Sharma there? Acha, I missed also somebody. He also has a shining pit at the end, as Naveen Sharma has. So Naveen, who has been a colleague, who has been at different newspapers, accredited by Commonwealth organization, a very well-known sports photographer. So he has been their tutor in this. And of course, the man, I also wanted them to be the people who have actually struggled to get into the industry and make a mark for themselves. So I got somebody from the newspaper industry and I got somebody from the communication industry to take their classes and tell them that, how rigorous it has been for them to this thing. And and they did a few sessions with them. And I think that has given them, what I mean is Abhishek and Deepak, who's sitting at the end. So, Deepak and Abhishek, I introduced them kind of thing. But we did this did not end this in one session. We had continuous session by first he taught them journalism, Pankaj, and then in the final semester, he would take combined classes to tell them, how to really get into the industry. How do you really, it's a very, very close society, and we all keep blaming the judiciary, that they don't allow anybody from outside. But I think in media also, it is also more true that it is very difficult to get an entry if you don't have a Jan Pehchan. And Pankaj, I think, did very good counseling with them on how to, without Jan Pehchan, to get into the media industry. So I think I'm very. We also have this in our course. We have the technology you're talking about. How we have adopted technology. We decided that if there is a technology available, about which Sunit has also been talking, if there is technology available, why not to avail of it? So there has been MOOC, the open courses on the net, and MOOC courses, which have been available for past many years. We decided to do those courses. I'm very thankful to Shruti Tandon, who had been a mentor for the MOOC courses we had. She's with the IT University. And probably yesterday I got a call from the dean of the IP University saying that why didn't we do the MOOC courses all these years? I said that is your problem, not my problem. and and you see the beauty of MOOC courses is that last Sunday, not just the students, the batch junior to them were giving MOOC exams. About 5, 6 faculty members were also writing those papers, updating themselves. So, and these tests are conducted by NTA. So, this is no easy test or this thing, and there has to be, tutorials which have to be done, all that. So, that is the ongoing learning process, and we probably, and I'm very sure that we would in times to come, and and I say this with that my whole aim is that people travel long ways to Bombay, to Ahmedabad and other places to take admission in very famous bands and colleges. Uh, we have to stop that migration here for the North Indians. We have to stop that migration because only those with money can go there. Those who are not that well endowed financially, there has to be a place of learning for them, and that is the place that we are trying to create at Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies. And I'm very grateful to the vice chairman. Actually, never questions me, and the chairman takes me for chairman says that you take me for granted. So, but I am actually very grateful to them because without their help and support and I think it would not have been possible. And last but not the least, I am very suspicious about the anchor of the day, Sumedha Dasmana. She keeps telling me, "Sir, you are such a good boss," but I seldom believe her, because the demands and the deadlines, the deadlines, the media industry deadlines that we are used to, कि आज वो edition तो जाना ही है, ये काम होना ही है. It is there is no tomorrow to wait for. Tomorrow is, So whenever she says that, you are a very good boss, I really have a lot of suspicion on that count. But then she has been a great help, and the biggest compliment for her was, I think this was shared to me by Pankaj. Pankaj has been instrumental in getting us this place and uh, for this event, and so she tied up with Pankaj that to be here on time and this thing. And the time was 5:30, and Pankaj was here on 5:30, and she was here at 5:20. So that is what is the commitment to a cause. That is what is the commitment to the cause, and I hope most of you here take that commitment to the cause from your course mentor, course coordinator. That is something which is going to make you travel long miles, long distances in your career. If you don't want to have an early burnout, please be committed to the cause. And to the mobile generation, I want to say one thing. I was recently covering elections. I did not go very far in the rural areas, outskirts of Ghaziabad, which is close, Bagpat, which is, despite being proximity to Delhi, is culturally very rural. And a parent was very, very frustrated that, about the child's race. And his whole grouse was कि एक तो ये सस्ती मोबाइल दे दी है और एक ये सस्ता फ्री का नेटवर्क दे दिया. एंड इन वेस्ट दे कॉल द मेल चाइल्ड लौंडा, और मेरा लौंडा तो दिन भर उसी में लगा रहता है. सो प्लीज कम आउट ऑफ दैट स्क्रीन and see the world for yourself. And even as I'm saying this, I can still see some people watching the mobile phones. So you are as bad as a drug addict, and you are not realizing what is being told to you. You are so badly addicted to it. I can assure you, I can tell you, if you are trying to find way to one Raisina Road, that is Press Club of India, without following the Google, the screen, you will finally get to see a lot of Delhi. And here you will not get, if you are following this screen, you will only get to see this screen and nothing more. And a few lines, the red line and the blue line and the yellow line. So on this note, I think it's time for me to end the notes. And I'm very sure they are very hardworking people, and the God will always be with them, will be blessing them for everything that they will do. And I think they are all very eagerly waiting for the awards session. So let's move over to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. In the absence of our Dean, I would request Dr. Sunil Kumar Mishra, Associate Professor, VSJMC, to introduce the awards and the categories to the audience.
Thank you, ma'am. It's time to encourage, motivate, and appreciate. I think अवार्ड तो आप सबको आज मिल ही रहा है. You are going to be start a new journey from here. I'll suggest compose each frame of your life in a beautiful manner so that we can proud. मुझे लगता है कि आप लोग यहाँ से जब जाओगे तो जो आपकी जर्नी स्टार्ट होगी वो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण होगी. जैसा कि सर ने कहा कि हम लोग जब एकेडमिक से इंडस्ट्री की तरफ जाते हैं तो एक नया चैलेंज, एक नई जिम्मेदारी हमारे साथ होती है. कुछ अवार्ड्स हैं, कुछ कैटेगरीज दी गई हैं. फर्स्ट कैटेगरी इज बेस्ट एम्प्लॉयर फीडबैक, देन बेस्ट स्क्रिप्ट राइटर अवार्ड, फिल्म मेकर ऑफ द कोर्स, मोस्ट इवॉल्व्ड स्टूडेंट ऑफ द कोर्स, बेस्ट इंटर्नशिप अवार्ड, बेस्ट स्किल्ड स्टूडेंट एंड स्टूडेंट ऑफ द कोर्स अवार्ड, एंड द लास्ट वन इज jury special award. Thereafter, the jury consisting of faculty members took the call based on the four following fundamentals. First is attendance, then performance in internal exams, then performance in external exams, and then last one is ability to perform and exercise as part of the assigned group. I'll request Professor Siddharth Mishra sir. I'll request Deepak Kumar Jha sir to give Best Employer Feedback Award. Please. Sir.
Best employer feedback, Sakshi Priya.
I'll request one of the best script writer to give best script writer award. Sanjay Srivastava sir, please आए और संजय सर प्लीज
Best script writer, Ayushi Jain.
Next award is filmmaker of the course. I'll request Narendra sir, please.
And the award for the best filmmaker of the course goes to Utkarsh Gautam.
Utkarsh.
I would like to invite the chief singer.
Now I'll request KB Prasad sir to announce most evolved student of the course.
No, I will. Well, I must acknowledge one thing that I appreciate the college's ability to innovate and the fact that it reminds you of Oscars, right? So I think part of it goes to you, or whoever suggested the scripts. Anyway, I would hold on to Summer Market, right? I'm sure he's not here because he mostly does his work in the Pioneer. So, on behalf of him, if somebody would like to collect him, Sakshi, or okay.
I'm ready. Rishab is there.
Oh, Rishab.
Rishab is there.
Since all of them are our students, so I don't know to say much beyond the fact that wish them best of luck with it. And mind you, we are entering a very different period when journalism is a challenge, more than what we talked about AKT existed.
Now I'll request Pankaj sir to announce a special jury award. Pankaj sir, please come.
Anushka Bansal.
Now I request Sunit sir and Ashok sir to kindly facilitate our students with these remaining trophies.
Academic awards.
These are academic awards. So the first one is Best Internship Award.
Any guesses? Rishabh Mukherjee.
Next is Best Skilled Student.
I think you guessed it right, Manvi Sharma.
And now the Student of the Course Award.
Confirmation. That's good. Very good. I think you got it very right. Maharashtra.
Thank you so much, sir. And I request our guests to kindly release the booklet for the valediction. Now I request all internal faculty members to kindly come over.
Everyone. How the students? How the passing out practice?
I now request our esteemed guests to kindly move to the next hall for the dinner. Students can wait here only. I now request our esteemed guests